Lots of people seem to think the Jaguar F-Type is just a really great weekend car, which it absolutely is. However, I've been daily driving this car for the past year and a half. So in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why I think this is one of the best daily drivers that no one is talking about. So let me give you a little bit of a backstory as to how I came about daily driving this car. Now, my first car, which was my last car, was a BMW 430D. So when it came to getting rid of the BMW and finding a new car, I started scrolling through Auto Trader just to kind of look at all of the different options that were available to me. And I knew the next car that I wanted to be a little bit of an upgrade from the BMW, but I didn't want it to be too much more expensive. Bear in mind, I bought the BMW for 20 grand when it was 5 years old. This time I didn't want to spend too much more than 20 grand, so I was probably looking in the region of 20 to 30,000 pounds maximum, absolutely maximum. So I started looking at all my options on Auto Trader, and a little thought popped into my head, and I thought, you know what, the Jaguar F-Type is starting to get a little bit older now. You know, the first came out in 2013, the Coupes I think came out in 2014. It was the start of 2024 at the time, and I was 26, and I thought, why not? Let's have a look at the Jags, see how much they cost. And then to my surprise, I saw that these were selling for anywhere from 20 to 30,000 pounds, which was right in my price range. So at that point, I kind of thought, wow, this is actually a dream car of mine that came out around 10 years ago. It's something that I've always dreamed of having, and it's actually finally attainable thanks to depreciation. So I started talking to a lot of my friends and family about buying a Jaguar F-Type, a car that had actually been a dream of mine when I was a few years younger. A lot of the things that I was hearing from people was that it's going to be very impractical to drive on a daily basis. It's also going to be very expensive to run, and it doesn't really make sense as a daily driver. And when I was hearing this, it made me think back to Jeremy Clarkson's initial review of the Jaguar F-Type when it came out.
This is what the boot looks like. How could they have a meeting and decide that that was acceptable?
So straight from the off, he hasn't painted a great picture of what they were going to be like to live with. However, after my own experience, this car has actually been really good. So let me get into exactly why. The biggest difference here we have is that Jeremy Clarkson was reviewing the convertible, whereas I am reviewing the Coupe. Now, if we look at the boot in the Coupe compared to the convertible, it is far bigger. I've even got here a large suitcase which fits in very easily. And there's even space on the sides for bags like my camera bag, and you can probably fit in this large suitcase and a small suitcase as well as a couple of bags. Honestly, the practicality is really good. But apart from just the boot space, here is 5 more reasons why I think the Jaguar F-Type is a really good daily. Number 1, it just makes every single drive feel really special. I know dailies are all supposed to be about practicality, but daily driving this car makes every day feel kind of special. I feel lucky to be able to get into it. Every time I get into it, I'm excited to drive it. And then when I am driving it, it just feels so special, and it makes any mundane, boring day far more exciting. And then number 2, it's just really comfortable. Now, obviously we only have 2 seats in here, but for the 2 occupants in the car, it is actually very comfortable. You get plenty of space in the cabin. And generally, overall, I think it's just really well designed. Obviously, we've got the sunroof here. The standout section for me is just this kind of like middle section. I know this car came out initially in 2013, but I think this looks really nice. In a day where all of the new cars are all like touchscreen, I know this is technically touchscreen, but you got buttons on the sides here, lots of knobs which feel really nice. Just the general aesthetic and the quality and touch is just really good. And I'm a big fan of the kind of like design overall, the fact that we've got actual dials rather than just digital screens. Yes, there's the tiny digital screen here, but you've still got your rev counter and your speed on the side here. You can't really beat this format. I really don't like, after driving a lot of the newer cars, which are all just digital displays, digital display, touch. I just don't think it works. Just bring back these kinds of dials, these buttons, bring back the tactility, because I think that really shows the type of quality that car has, and it just makes it so much easier and more enjoyable when you're driving to have all of these rather than just these rubbish little touchscreen stuff. And then one thing that makes this car really, really great when you're driving it is this little thing here. Well, it's not technically this is just a lever, but the 8-speed ZF gearbox. You could be mistaken in thinking that this car would have a double clutch system because obviously it's more of a performance car than anything. But no, this little ZF 8-speed gearbox is absolutely fantastic. Now, I'll get to driving in a little sec and you'll see just how snappy the upshifts are. Only thing that is letting it down a little bit is the downshifts can take a little bit more time than you would want. But the fact that you have 8 gears and it's as smooth as this thing is just makes it fantastic for daily use. Generally, overall in here, the practicality is fantastic. You've got a little bin here for whatever type of nonsense you want to put in it. Little thingy in here, got the car chewing gum that you've always got to have. Cup holders in here, need some cup holders, just filled with rubbish at the minute. Oh, and not to forget, probably one of the best features in this car, this button right here and just how it feels to press. Ugh, just so satisfying. Yeah, really like that. And then the fifth and final thing that I think makes this car an absolute joy as a daily driver is the looks. Now, I don't think anyone can deny that this car is an absolute looker. Just when you're driving it, the type of attention that it gets, it's not the wrong attention, it's the right attention. I've been fortunate enough to drive some pretty nice cars, and in some other cars, I've received quite a bit of, could you call it hate? Just people not being very nice towards me. But in this car, it just seems like everyone loves it. I don't think you can go wrong with the Jaguar F-Type. It's got that perfect balance between luxury, sports. It's got a little bit of like, it's got some class about it, you know what I mean? I mean, just, it's sat there, it looks quality, the curves and the sculpture just make it look really, really nice. And I think because it is a British sports car, especially in the UK, everyone seems to like it. That's if they know what it is, but it's just a bit of a conversation starter. It's one of those cars that when you buy it, people can appreciate your taste, if you know what I mean. But yeah, just look at it, fantastic. But of course, it's not the perfect daily car. Now, there are a couple of things that might deter you from daily driving this car. For me personally, I'm prepared to deal with them because I'm really, really passionate about this car and it excites me. But one thing you might want to consider is the fuel consumption. So for me, I personally only spend about £200 a month in fuel. Now that is premium fuel as well. It's really important with cars like these, keep the engine running on the best type of fuel, which kind of cleans the engine. It might just be a marketing ploy, but it's not something that I'm prepared to be wrong on, if that makes sense. So I only put Shell V-Power in this. Full tank is probably just over £100, and that £100 will probably last around 2 weeks of driving for me. And then something else to consider with a car like this, it's got more of a sports car stance. That also means that the car is very, very low. Not very, very low, but it's lower than your typical cars. Now, I've actually found that the Jaguar F-Type isn't as bad as you might think on a day-to-day basis and going over things like speed bumps. As low as it actually looks, it's actually got a good amount of ground clearance. I typically don't find speed bumps, etc. as bad in this. As long as you go a little bit slower than usual, take care when you're going over the bumps. You tend to find that you don't really scrape. It does actually have a good amount of ground clearance. One thing I have been considering though is lowering this car and putting some lowering springs on it. And it would probably lower the car by around 30 mil. If I did lower the car 30 millimeters, I would probably find that I scrape on far more than I do now, because at that point it would be very, very low. As it is, as standard, with the standard springs on, the standard height, it's really, really livable, a lot more livable than you might think. You really don't scrape on that much. And then the other thing you're probably going to be thinking about is your insurance and servicing. Now, insurance for me isn't actually that bad at all. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit more expensive than your typical normal car, but again, this is a sports car you're getting, so if you are willing to pay it, it's just a little bit more. And general running costs of servicing tends to run me around £300 to £400 a year, which, you know, for a sports car, I don't think is terrible. You know, for a normal car, you're probably paying, I don't know, 150 to 200 pounds on servicing. So for the sake of 150, 200 quid to drive something like this, something with an actual soul, something that makes you smile, I don't think it's that bad. So then, finally, is it really worth it? Yes. It's worth it, even just putting my foot down there. I haven't driven this car in a little bit because I've been on holiday, but just getting back in it and actually putting my foot down a little bit and being on these country roads, yeah, it just puts a smile on your face every time. As you'll see in my other videos, every time I put my foot down a little bit, or I'm on some nice country roads, the sound of it is just so intoxicating. I can never ever get enough. But please forget, you know, those things that you might be thinking about as to why this won't be a good daily car. The reason that I think it is a fantastic daily car, the number one reason for me, is because of how it makes you feel. Being able to drive this on a daily basis, every single day, it just makes my day so much better. If I'm having a pretty boring day, I get into this car and I set off on my way home. It just completely changes my day. It makes it feel a lot more special, and I don't really think it's something you can put that much of a price on. And the best thing about this car now is it's budget luxury. But when you do drive one of these cars, it actually feels like a mini supercar. It's got that road presence, it's got the shape, it's got the sound, it's got the driving ability. I'm fortunate enough to drive an Aston Martin DB11 as well, and this does feel like a mini Aston Martin. I actually prefer the way that this car sounds over the Aston Martin DB11, which my dad has. And this is a Jaguar F-Type V6S. Now, if I put my foot down just a little bit, just the tone of it is so exciting. Every time I get out of the car, I always look back at it just to see how it looks. And every time I look back at it, it really does put a smile on my face. If you are thinking about getting one of these cars as the daily driver, please go and see one. Go and find an F-Type Coupe, open the boot, have a look inside, see how spacious it is, especially with this pan roof, and have a drive of it. And I promise, once you have a drive, money is coming out of your bank account. There's no way you're not going to buy it, because it's just fantastic. If you have had a Jaguar F-Type, whether it is the convertible or the coupe, please let me know what your experience was like in terms of practicality. If you have enjoyed this video, please make sure to subscribe for plenty more coming out just like this. Other than that, hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you next time.